Hey, welcome back to Dan's Chess Lounge, everybody. So today was I believe it was the seventh round of the Tata Steel Chess Tournament, and it's a pretty good tournament going along. No one is really like standing out and crushing the field. Everyone's kind of bunched up, so it's anyone's game at the moment. But I decided to highlight Sam Shankland's game from today because he's the only American in the field in the Masters tournament. And I like Sam Shankland's game. I like his style, and I'm really proud that he won the U.S. Chess Championships. So he's allowed to play, or he's able to play in some of the more top tier tournaments, and he's going to get a chance to play against the top players in the world. So I'm really happy for Sam. Today he played against Jordan Van Foreest, or Forest, and let's see what transpired over the board. Sam opened up with c4. You have an English. e5 was the response. That's the most aggressive way to respond. d3, knight f6, knight f3, knight c6, and a3. This keeps the black pieces, either the bishop or the knight, from ever coming to the critical b4 square. So they will no longer be able to hop in right there. And it also allows white to expand on the queen side at some point. d5, it's like a reverse Sicilian at this point. If you take a look at it and switch the colors, this is normally how the games look here from the black side of a Sicilian defense. C takes d, knight takes, and e3, and if it really looks like a Sicilian now, like a Scandinavian Sicilian actually at this point. a5, this is a useful move that slows down white's queenside expansion, and later on it might even be a useful move for a rook lift. You guys know that's my favorite move in chess, is a rook lift. Bishop e2, bishop d6, b3. Now you're going into like a hedgehog style here, or structure. And a lot of times in the hedgehog structure, the b pawn can be a target. And for the games that people lose in a hedgehog, most of the time the b pawn falls, and then the rest of the structure falls after that. Okay, so after that you had f5, and Jordan is making it known that he's going to be pushing on the king side. Knight b d2, queen e7, queen c2, occupying the semi-open c file. Bishop d7, developing all of his pieces. g3, this is a good defensive move because, as you can see, he's got a lot of pressure on this f4 square. So now the g pawn will be able to help in case he pushes on f4. King h8, yeah, he's tucking his king away safely, and that way it also won't be any pins or anything along this diagonal here. And who knows, he might even want to, if this bishop here can be eliminated, the b2 bishop can be eliminated at some point, he might even play like g7, g5, scoop the rook over. I mean, who knows? You can really throw the whole kitchen sink at him. Castles, rook a e8, and I like black's position. He is really preparing for a big thrust, a big blast right through the middle. Sam hasn't done anything wrong though. He's playing a good defensive restraint type of structure, and he's just trying to, build his forces up to withstand black's attack that's going to come. Rook fe1, and here you go, e4. And let's see here. He played knight d4 in the game because he wanted to keep the position relatively closed up and not let black's pieces get too active. If he would have played d takes e, then you would have f takes e and knight h4, and this is slightly better for black because now black has these open lines that he can use for his pieces. He's got the open diagonals for the bishop, both of them. He's got the semi-open file on the f file. He's got the not the semi-open e file, but he has a lot more space to carry out his attack. Let's go back to the game, what was played. Okay, knight d4 was played. Knight takes, bishop takes, pawn takes. Like I said, black wants to open up as many lines as possible. Queen takes. And black snapped off that pawn there that was on a3. And we're going to get a little tactical here in the next couple lines coming up. Bishop g7 is what jumped out to me right away when I saw bishop captures pawn on a3. So Sam could have played bishop takes g7 check, queen takes, and then he'll get his piece back. He could either snap off the knight or he can snap off the bishop here on a3. But he had something a little different in mind. He saw this, but he had a little something different. So after bishop captures a3, Sam decided to play bishop f3, targeting the undefended knight there on d5. So the knight goes to b4, queen c3, knight c6, and now he plays bishop captures g7. So he chased that knight around for a bit, and then he played bishop captures g7. Queen takes, and so now we're in the end game. The queens have been traded. He snaps off with that bishop on a3, and the material has been restored. So we're in this nice end game here. Who do you think has the better chances, white or black? We'll see. f4. Bishop e4 is what Sam played in the game, but there is a couple other possibilities here. He could have played e takes f4, but then that falls to rook captures rook. Big time blunder. Or if he would have played g takes f4, then you have some more tactics here. You have rook captures pawn, and if the pawn captures the rook back, again you have the same rook captures rook on e1. So there's some nice tactics here, which is the reason why he played bishop e4 instead. Pawn captures, rook captures, and now if we stop for a minute and reassess the position, you'll see that black has a 3-on-1 pawn majority on the queen side. White has a 3-on-1 pawn majority on the king side. So it's a pretty even game. It's going to be a matter of who's going to play the end game more technically correct. Rook f6, rook a1, bishop f5. The bishops are traded off. The rooks are traded off. So now we're down to 2 pieces each side. And this is the type of game that, you know, if you lose it, if it's drawn, okay, but if you lose this game here, then it really bugs you and irritates you because you felt like you played a good game and you feel like you may be lacking in your in-game studies. So you usually wind up studying your in-game for like the next month or so, just trying to shore up any deficiencies in your in-game play. It's a really even game. I think the engine even said it was like 0.09 or something like that. It's basically even. But, you know, we're all humans and we make mistakes, so you got to play it out. King g2, king f2. And it's time to get the kings involved in the game. You guys know that's the in-game rule number 1. Activate your king. Knight c5, that attacks the pawn on b7. Uh-oh. Knight b4. And Sam snaps off that pawn. But look at this nice, beautiful tactic here. Rook takes f2, check. King takes, and now you have the nice fork there. The knight is forking the king and rook. So he gets his material back for the moment. But then Sam snaps off that pawn on a5. So at the end of this, he's able to squeeze out a 1-pawn advantage. It's got 3 pawns to 2. Is this enough to win? These guys are so technically sound with their endgame. They can usually save anything. But the thing that's not looking so good for Jordan, though, is that his pawns are on the other side of the board. So it's going to be a lot of board that he has to cover. Jordan's going to have to be able to stop the pawns over here, this majority, and he's going to have to stop the pawn on the B pawn. If they were closer together, it might have been easier for him to defend everything. But we'll see what happens though. King e6, g4, knight a2, king d4, knight b4. So the knight is just maneuvering around, trying to blockade the pawn for the moment. But as you can see, that gives Sam time to advance these pawns. So then the knight goes to d5, a good centralizing move, and it still stops the b pawn from pushing. But again, how do you stop the majority on the other side? So, knight c4, knight f4, knight e3. And so now you have Jordan going after the pawns here on the king side. Sam was playing very good defensive moves. So then Jordan abandons that plan with the knight. Goes back to attacking the pawn on h4. But now Sam can just push the pawns and drive the king away. And now he can drive the knight away. h5. And now his knight comes in to support and help out. Knight e6. Sam snaps off the c pawn now. Now it's really looking bad for Jordan. King attacks the knight. Sam's king attacks the black knight. Knight g7 check. And look at this. The knight here is in pre. And Sam just gives up the knight, which is a beautiful tactic there. He gives up the knight because he sees that now he can just push his pawns all the way through. g6. King's trying to come back, but it's too late though. If he plays g takes h7, then that would be a mistake because now you have knight f6 check. And that forks him. And so then Jordan would actually save a draw here because the knight would be able to eventually sack itself for the pawn when it goes to h7 at some point. And then black's king will just snap off the b pawn at some point. So that would actually be a blunder, a big-time blunder for Sam if he played that move. So instead he plays king g5, and this is where Jordan resigned here because there's no way to stop one of the pawns from promoting on h8. Like if he plays king e7, then you have g takes h7 and then promotion with the next move. And then if you go back, if he plays h6, if h captures g, then you would have h7 on the very next move and game over. So this was a nice win from Sam Shankland. He's holding his own in the tournament. He's got 3.5 points, and his only loss was to Ding Liren, who's 2,800. He's 28-13, I believe. So there's no shame losing to Ding Liren. I like the way Sam's game is, though. He plays very solidly. He's a good positional player. He plays the Catalan a lot of times, which is a good positional opening. I like Sam's style. The Tata Still tournament is more than halfway through. I think they have 6 more rounds to go. It's anyone's game. The leaders are at 4.5 points. It's a 5-way lead for first place. Of course, you have Carlson and Geary in there fighting for the lead. And they play on the very last round, Carlson versus Geary. So they've been going back and forth again on Twitter, as always. Gary's always trying to say something about Carlson. And Carlson been kind of jabbing him back, too. So this will be a very, very dramatic last round if those who are going heads up at the very end. So we'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed the game today. Keep up the good work, Sam Shankland. Kudos to you for your victory today. Way to represent. And I'll see you guys next time.